Good evening. This is Aaron. I'm Aaron with Bowtie Treasures, here in the Bowtie Treasures studio live on Dixie Belle's Facebook page. I am a Dixie Belle content creator and a brand ambassador for Would You Bend. Always happy to be here with you. As you pop in tonight, love for you to tell us where you're watching from, and excited to share some fun tips and techniques with you tonight, as always. So if you're watching on replay later, let us know as well. And so tonight, I'm going to talk about color mixing, okay? So I don't want to get too technical, but I want to showcase Dixie Belle's color mixer, but I want to talk about color theory, because I think it's one thing to just go mix colors, but if you are trying to get a certain outcome, it does help to have a little bit of knowledge about color theory, and it's not too difficult. There's some great tools out there, and I want to talk about that with you real quick. Two things I'm going to show you tonight. In fact, the one thing I want to talk about is a color wheel. A color wheel is pretty easy to find. In fact, I just added it. Bowtietreasures.com. There's a shop link, and on the Amazon page, you'll find something pretty close to this. This is made by the Color Wheel Company, and so you can see my link on my Amazon page. This is going to be helpful because of several reasons. One, it helps you understand color harmony from a standpoint of there are different, let me show you on the back here. You see how it says tetrad, triad, split, complementary, complementary? Those are all different ways of understanding color harmony. I use a lot of complement colors, and if you watched enough of my lives, oftentimes I'll paint something blue and throw a little bit of orange or red in there. That's me using complement colors. So you can get really technical when you start doing split, complementary, and triad and so on, but I don't want to get too technical with that. The other thing I talk a lot about is value, and you can see value here in the grays. Value, for example, the two colors I'm going to be talking a lot about tonight is apricot and limeade. Those two colors, I would consider those colors to be close in value. A color that's not necessarily close in value would be like white and a dark gray. Those are not close in value. So when you're color mixing, it really is nice to understand value and things like that. So how do you tone down the color, or how do you gray it out? Those are all things that we can talk a little bit about tonight. But I don't want to get too lost in that because this is a Dixie Belle painting show, and I definitely want to showcase a few of those. So again, you can find that on my Amazon page on bowtietreasures.com. So this is Dixie Belle's color mixer page on their website. You can see in the top right, there's a little color link there. And one of the things, so what I did, just to give myself a little bit of a challenge, I thought I've got two colors that I hardly ever use. They're not likely colors that you're going to use a lot, and that's limeade and apricot. And I thought, well, let's put those two colors to use. One of the things I'd like to have more of is more of creams, and more of a yellowish cream, just a darker cream color. So I had limeade, and I also chose apricot. And you can see that it immediately, with the 1-to-1 mix, I was able to get a fairly yellowish cream beige color. And I actually went ahead and I did 2 parts apricot, and it gave me a little bit more warmth. So there's temperature, there's cool and warm, okay? So limeade and apricot are both fairly warm colors. That's another thing to talk about. Usually the principle is if there's a lot of blue in it, it's a cool color. If there's a lot of red in it, it's a warm color. So both of these colors have more warmth than they do. So you can see how that 2 parts versus 1, that's exactly what I did for the piece behind me. But I mixed up 2 parts to 1 part, and then I mixed it, painted my entire piece, and then I went back, and I'm going to go back to my show and tell here, and let me just show you this. So I mixed the colors. You can actually download a report there, so you can see how much parts of ounces to other ounces. I used a mixing container You can see it there in the picture in the background of the two colors. And I pretty much did 4 ounces of apricot and 2 ounces of limeade. So that gave me 6 ounces of color. 6 ounces covered my entire big vintage dresser. Now, it only gave me 1 coat. I wanted to do 2 coats. But I will tell you that I felt like the color was too yellow. So I added a little bit of buttercream just kind of winged it, just a little bit of buttercream to lighten it up. It was too dark for me, but that's okay. And that's where you can actually use the color, choose color to lighten it up. So doing some tests is always good. There's the color. You can see the limeade inside the apricot in that color. I have this, you can buy, and this is on my Amazon page too, you can buy these little hand mixers, and I mixed the 2 colors up, and it really was a lovely color. It was a little just too bright, and this was the first coat. Didn't quite come out. So the third time, the second coat of paint, I added a little bit of buttercream. So those are the 3 colors, and I mixed those up. Okay, so that's just a little bit about how you can use the color mixer to accomplish colors that are not in Dixie Belle's palette. So you can say, I really want to get this kind of color, but one of the things I want to talk about real quick, in order to gray up a color, if it's too vibrant to gray it up, add some complement or add a gray to it. That will dull a color down. So play around with the color mixer and maybe create a little sample board where you're just doing little scoops of paint, little scoops here and there, as long as you're following the parts. I think it would be a really good tool if you're trying to do some custom finishes. Just remember that if you ever have a client who loves what you did on another piece, keep track of those colors, okay? That's where that little printout sheet can help you so you understand what you did. So I have a little bit of color left. This is my leftover, so you can get these mixing containers, and that's where I just poured enough paint in here to get my parts. Pretty common sense, do a little math. I didn't really use any of these parts, but this is a mixing cup that you can get online. I probably have those. I may have those on my Amazon page, I'm not sure. And it has a lid, so if I need to touch anything up, I've got a little bit left, and that works out really well. So think about color harmony, get that color wheel. I think it'll help you. It'll really show you, like on this side here, it shows you what happens if you add yellow, what happens if you add blue to this color. Okay, so this kind of gets you going in a little bit of the direction we're talking about, all right? And then on the back, it talks about complement colors, and I use complement colors quite a bit. So if that's a little deep, I recommend that you learn up a little bit on some color wheel, color harmony, color theory, if you really want to get more expert with colors. And I'm not trying to get too deep on it, but I probably did. So anyways, like I said, I just kind of, for the fun of it, I had 2 colors. I'm like, hey, what can I do with these? I'm not really going to be painting a dresser or limeade anytime soon. So how can I put these to good work? Mix them together. And that really gave me some colors that I can work with. But I will tell you, I did all that work, and I really didn't mind doing the work. I enjoyed it. I pretty much made what I felt like was Rebel Yellow. Not on purpose, but it just kind of happened. So sometimes you might find that Dixie Belle has the color you want, but I really wanted to put 2 colors that I wasn't using to use. And like I said, I pretty much came out with a Rebel Yellow. Rebel Yellow is a little bit darker, and I think when I added the buttercream, I'll lighten it up. But nonetheless, it's all good, and I put some colors to use. Well, I'm excited to see this come together and finish out. I'm hoping that gave you some insights about color mixing, and then also how to use the whitewash if you haven't tried that already. Love for you to use that link in the description. Check out the website, bowtietreasures.com. In the shop menu, there's the Amazon link. You can check out a couple of the products like the color wheel. And then I think I mentioned about the mixer that I use for the paint. That was really a great tool. I'm here with Bowtie Treasures. I'm here in the Bowtie Treasures studio. Okay, see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Take care.
that's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.